when it comes to functions, relations. We're going to add a new twist to it. Check it out. On this section, we'll be doing exactly what we did above, exactly what we did in the past, but we will add an extra step. Okay, so I'm going to ask, is it a function? So you need to just say, well, is it a function or just a relation? You guys already know how to do that, according to the last video, hopefully. If you say it's a function, then you also have to state whether it's a one-to-one function. Now, what do I mean by a one-to-one function? Let's take a look at down here what one-to-one function is. A one-to-one function is a function that passes the horizontal line test. Okay? Of course, that's if it's a function already. So I guess to make this more clear, number 9 is definitely a one-to-one function. Okay, now what do I mean by one-to-one? There's one input that takes me to exactly one output. There's one input that takes me to exactly one output. We already knew this was a function, but in addition to saying that it's just a function, you could be more specific and say that this function is a one-to-one. It's not just a function, but it's a one-to-one function. Okay? This guy up here, number 1, it is a function machine. It works, right? I plug in a 5, I get out a 4. Plug in a 2, get out a 1. Plug in a 0, get out a -2. I never plug in the same number twice and get out different answers, right? So it is a function, but it's not a one-to-one. Does that make sense? Yeah? So the mapping is pretty easy. Number 1 is a function, but it's not one-to-one. Number 9 is a function, and it is one-to-one. For one input, I get exactly one output. Now, let me just do this on the side here. If I had, let's say this, in, out. Now let's say I have my input values being 1, 2, 3, and my output is 0, 0, 0. Is that a function? Yes, it is. What kind of function is this? This is y equals x times 0, right? Or 0x. Because if I plug in a 1 into my x, 1 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0. But is it a one-to-one function? It is definitely not a one-to-one function. Okay? Because technically, I don't even need all these zeros. If I'm mapping it, I could show it like this. I have my inputs, and they're all going to one single output. So it's not a one-to-one function. This definitely is a function, but it's not a one-to-one function. Now, so with the mapping, with the arrows, it's really easy. It has to go from one number to another number in order for it to be a one-to-one function. Now, whoa. So when you're looking at mapping, it's easy. Is this, we said this one was a function, correct? Is it a one-to-one function? Is it a one-to-one function, guys? Yes, it is. Because my 4 gives me one answer. My -1 gives me one answer. And I never get the same number out here twice. Okay? So one-to-one, it's pretty easy, especially when you have these arrows going on. Let's look at one-to-one when it comes to graphs. Okay? So we said this one was not, this one was not a function. Let's go to one that was a function. This guy right here, was it a function? No, because the vertical line test failed right here. It has 2 dots on this vertical line. This one was a function. So let's go to this one that was a function, and let's ask, is it a one-to-one function, or is it just a function? What do you guys think? Just a function. Because if we try what we call a horizontal line test, that means you do a horizontal line that's running left to right. If it touches at more than one point, boom, right? Like right here. It fails the horizontal line test. So for the horizontal line test, that's just to say, or just to be more specific and see if it's a one-to-one. This one is not a one-to-one function. Okay? Let's look at this next one. Is this guy right here a one-to-one function? I guess before saying that, we should first start with, is it a function? Is number 7 a function? Yes, it is. Because if I did my vertical line test, it would pass. Touches at one point, touches at one point, touches at one point, touches at one point. Right? But if I do my horizontal line test, so it is a function, so I could already put an F right there, it's a function, but is it a one-to-one function? If I do a horizontal line test, does it pass? Yes or no? Yes, so what could we call this? We could be more specific and say not only is it a function, but it's also a one-to-one function. So adding on the one-to-one is just being a little more specific, saying that it is a function and it's even a one-to-one function. Each individual output gives you each individual input gives you its own individual output. Okay? So I kind of get this out of the way. I hope this helps you. And down here, it just has the notes for a one-to-one function. So a one-to-one function is a function that passes a horizontal line test. We already showed you what a horizontal line test is. It's simply taking your line, making it a horizontal line, and running it up and down to see if it passes the horizontal line test. And that's only for functions, not for relations. Okay? So, also, each input produces one unique output. Now, we already saw that up here, that each input gives you exactly one unique output. One unique output, one unique output. That's a one-to-one function. What else? Each x value produces its unique y value. It's the same thing as above. Instead of input and output, it's using x and y. And it also gives you these examples. Number 9 above is a one-to-one function. Number 1 above is a function, but it is not a one-to-one function. So I hope this kind of helps on reviewing functions and relations. The only added step is that if you have a function, you have to state whether it's a one-to-one function or not.